start with the red text, and we're going to get through the middle of the red text, and then we're going to switch over to the other text, to the Vajrasattva text. So we're starting with the preliminary practices, the incomparable Trikonkagyu. So I'm going to do the opening prayers as it is here, and the introductions. We're going to do this just one time going through it. We don't have a lot of time and a number of things to talk about. So, like I said, if you have questions, write them down. So we start on page 1, the introduction. So you can read along with me out loud, which I suggest. Turn your microphones off so we don't feed back on each other, and we'll begin. For the benefit of all sentient beings, the most gracious Buddha Shakyamuni spoke the Dharma through the sutras and tantras. The 5 profound paths of Mahamudra and the 6 yogas of Naropa are the essence of the Buddha's teachings, which enable one to attain enlightenment even in one lifetime. However, to practice the path of Mahamudra and the 6 yogas of Naropa, one must be fully convinced of the 4 ways of turning the mind, or the 4 ordinary foundations. The 4 ways of turning the mind are the basis for the successful practice of any of the yanas. Then one practices the 4 extraordinary foundations, or the Vajranyana Ngondro, to purify the negative karma and obscurations of the mind, speech, and body, and to develop virtues. The great 12th century Tibetan saint, Lord Jigden Sumgun, the second Nagarjuna, said, "The Ngondro is even more important than the higher practices. One must truly understand and practice the simple yet profound foundational teachings before one begins the higher teachings." All mother sentient beings, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and omniscience, all-knowingness, may they experience happiness and be separated from suffering, and swiftly I will establish them in the state of the most perfect and precious Buddhahood. Dagla dang warje pedra no parje pege. Darpa dang tam shaken pe bar du jo parje pa tam shaki so je pe. Manam kadam yam pe sem chen tam she de wa dang den. Dug now dang drel nor du la na me pa yang dag par zog pe zhang zhu bren po she to pa ja. Thus, until I achieve enlightenment, I perform virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. Until death, I perform virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. From now until this time tomorrow, I perform virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. Deshe du sang ma ge gi bar du lu na gyu sam ge wa la ko. Ma she bar du lu na gyu sam ge wa la ko. Du de ring ne song te ni ma sang ta sam gi bar du lu na gyu sam ge wa la ko. All sentient beings, limitless as the sky, take refuge in the glorious kind Lama Vajradhara, the embodiment of the body, speech, mind, qualities, and activities of the Buddhas of the 10 directions and the 3 times, source of the 84,000 categories of the teachings, and Lord of the Sanghas. We take refuge in the kind root Lama and lineage Lamas. We take refuge in the deities of the mandalas of the Yidams. We take refuge in all the exalted Buddhas. We take refuge in the perfect Dharma. We take refuge in the excellent order of the Sanghas. We take refuge in all the noble Dakas, Dakinis, and Dharma guardians, possessors of the eye of wisdom. Back to page 4, Tibet. Nam ke da dam yam pe sem chen tam she chok shu du som gi. Te shin sek pa tam shegi ku song tong yong ten trin le tam shegi nor war gur pa. Choki pom po ton chak ga chu ta che jung ne. Pak pe ge dun tam shegi na da. Dren san sa wa dang gur par je pe pal dan la ma dam pa nam la kap su chi o. Ye dam kil gor gi la sok nam la kap su chi o. Sangye chom den de nam la kap su chi o. Tam pe cho nam la kap su chi o. Pa pe ge du nam la kap su chi o. Pa wo ka jo cho kyung song me song ye she gi chang dang dem pa nam la kap su chi o. Until I attain the heart of enlightenment, I take refuge in all the Buddhas. I take refuge in the Dharma, and likewise in the assembly of the Bodhisattvas. As the previous Buddhas embraced the enlightened mind and progressed on the Bodhisattva's path, I too, for the benefit of all sentient beings, give birth to bodhicitta and apply myself to accomplish the stages of the path. Shangju Ningpo Chi Ki Bar Sangye Nam La Kapsulu Chi Chodang Shangshu Sampa So Klang De Shin Kapsu Chi Jitar Nongi De Shegi Shangshu Tugni Ki Padan Shangshu Sempe La Pala De Dagrim Shin Ne Patar De Shindro La Pandandu Shangshu Samni Ki Shing De Shindu Ni La Pala Rempa Shindu La Pa Ji O. Until I attain the heart of enlightenment, in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha most excellent, I take refuge until enlightenment is reached. By the merit of generosity and other good deeds, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings. Sangye Chodang Soki Chonam La Shangju Bardu Dagni Kapsu Chi Dagi Jin Soki Pe So Namgi Drola Penshir Sangye Ju Pasho. May all mother sentient beings, boundless as the sky, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be liberated from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. Manam kadam yampe sem chen tam she dewa dang dewe gurdang dempar jurchi. Dug now dang de now gi kudang drawar jurchi. Dug now me pe dewa dang mi drawar jurchi. Nei ring chak dang ni dang dra wei tang nam la nei pa jo chi. We're on page 11. Whatever merit I have gathered through prostrations, offering, confession, rejoicing, requesting, and praying, for the sake of the enlightenment of all sentient beings, all this I dedicate. Chaksa wadang cho ching sapadan Jesu yi rang kol sing so wa yi Ge wa jung se da gi ji sak pa Tam she zog pe shang shub chir no. The four ways of turning the mind. Oh, this kind of leisure is supremely difficult to obtain. When we obtain this body, which is easily lost, do not waste it meaninglessly, but rather use it to attain the ultimate liberation, joyous result. So contemplate the meaning of this. You can read this quietly to yourself, or just contemplate the meaning just for a moment. Precious human life. What this refers to is precious human life, that we have this precious human life to be able to experience the Dharma that leads us to enlightenment. Okay? The nature of all phenomena is impermanence. Death is a certainty to all who are born. Death can descend any time like a drop of morning dew on a blade of grass. Quick, it is time to make the effort for the essence of Dharma. Contemplate the meaning of impermanence. Okay? The third of the four thoughts to turn the mind to the Dharma. The fruit of one's positive karma is happiness. Suffering is the fruit of negative karma. The inexorable karmic causation is the mode of abiding of all dharmas. Henceforth, practice the Dharma by distinguishing between what should be practiced and what should be given up. Contemplate the meaning of karma, cause, and result. Okay? In the three lower realms, and even in the three higher ones, there is not an instant of absolute happiness. I will avoid the root cause of my samsaric existence and practice the excellent path of peace to enlightenment. Contemplate the meaning of the suffering of samsara. Okay, so these were the four thoughts that turn the mind to the Dharma, the four outer preliminaries. So we will talk about these in greater detail in the not too distant future coming right up. So now we're on page 16, and now we recite the Sanskrit alphabet and visualize the Dakinis in a circle standing shoulder to shoulder around our heart center, facing the inside of the circle and making offerings to all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas that we may receive their blessings for enlightenment. So their names are characterized by the Sanskrit syllables. So we recite this 3 times. Om, a, I, u, ri, li, e, o, ang, a, ga, na, za, na, da, na, da, na, ba, ma, yawalawa, sa, ha, kriya, so, ha. Om, a, I, u, ri, li, e, o, ang, a, ga, na, za, na, da, na, da, na, ba, ma, yawalawa, sa, ha, kriya, so, ha. Om, a, I, u, ri, li, e, o, ang, a, ga, na, za, na, da, na, da, na, ba, ma, yawalawa, sa, ha, krisa, so, ha. So now, on the bottom of page 16, you see the mantra of interdependent origination, and there you see it in its Sanskrit form. On page 17 is the transliteration in English along with the English translation. So we'll read the English translation 3 times, and then we'll recite the Sanskrit 3 times. All phenomena arise from causes. Those causes have been taught by the Tathagata. The cessation, too, has been proclaimed by the great ascetic, the Shamaniye, so be it. The Shamaniye is the Buddha. All phenomena arise from causes. Those causes have been taught by the Tathagata. The cessation, too, has been proclaimed by the great ascetic, the Shamaniye, so be it. All phenomena arise from causes. Those causes have been taught by the Tathagata. The cessation, too, has been proclaimed by the great ascetic, the Shamaniye, so ha. Om Yadharma Hetu Prabhava Hetu Takan Tathagato Heowa Tatata Takansa Yonorada Evamwadi Ma Shamaniye so ha. Om Yadharma Hetu Prabhava Hetu Takan Tathagato Heowa Tatata Takansa Yonorada Evamwadi Ma Shamaniye so ha. Om Yadharma Hetu Prabhava Hetu Takan Tathagato Heowa Tatata Takansa Yonorada Evamwadi Ma Shamaniye so ha. Now we come to page 18 and 19. 18 is the purification mantra, the 100-syllable purification mantra of Vajrasattva, the indestructible holy being. So we see this in the Sanskrit, in the transliteration of the Sanskrit, and on page 19 is the English translation of this very important prayer that we recite to purify our body, speech, and mind so that we become proper vessel to be able to become inseparable with the body, speech, and mind of the enlightened ones. So we read this 3 times in English and then 3 times in the Sanskrit. Om Vajrasattva Samaya, help to protect my vow to purify myself. May you remain firm with me. Grant me the complete satisfaction. Grow with me. Be loving towards me. Grant me the attainments to master the powers beyond body and nature. Show me all the deeds of body, speech, and mind. Make my mind heart good, virtuous, and auspicious. Revel in the bliss of the 4 joys, O Blessed One, who embodies the essence within me. Do not abandon me. Grant me the realizations of the indestructible nature. Make me one with you. Thus I signify my unity with non-duality. Ah. Om Vajrasattva Samaya. Help to protect my vow to purify myself. May you remain firm with me. Grant me the complete satisfaction. Grow with me. Be loving towards me. Grant me the attainments to master the powers beyond body and nature. Show me all the deeds of body, speech, and mind. Make my mind, heart good, virtuous, and auspicious. Revel in the bliss of the four joys, O Blessed One, who embodies the essence within me. Do not abandon me. Grant me the realizations of the indestructible nature. Make me one with you. Thus I signify my unity with non-duality. Ah. Om Vajrasattva Samaya. Help to protect my vow to purify myself. May you remain firm with me. Grant me the complete satisfaction. Grow with me. Be loving towards me. Grant me the attainments to master the powers beyond body and nature. Show me all the deeds of body, speech, and mind. Make my mind, heart good, virtuous, and auspicious. Revel in the bliss of the four joys, O Blessed One, who embodies the essence within me. Do not abandon me. Grant me the realization of the indestructible nature. Make me one with you. Thus I signify my unity with non-duality. Ah. Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Tenopa Drista Dredo Me Bawa Suto Kayo Me Bawa Supo Kayo Me Bawa Anuraktu Me Bawa Sara Siddhi Me Prayatsa Sara Karma Sitsa Me Sitsantriya Kuru Hong Ha 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 ho Bhagavan Saratada Gata Bajra Mame Munsa Bajri Bhava Mahasamaya Sattvaha Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Tenopa Drista Dredo Me Bhava Suto Kayo Me Bhava Supo Kayo Me Bhava Anuraktu Me Bhava Sara Siddhi Me Prayatsa Sara Karma Sutsa Me Sitsantriya Kuru Hong Ha 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 ho Bhagavan Saratada Gata Bajra Mame Munsa Bajri Bhava Maha Samaya Sattvaha Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Tenopa Drista Dredo Me Bhava Suto Kayo Me Bhava Supo Kayo Me Bhava Anuraktu Me Bhava Sara Siddhi Me Prayatsa Sara Karma Sutsa Me Sitsantriya Kuru Hong Ha 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 ho Bhagavan Saratada Gata Bajra Mame Munsa Bajri Bhava Maha Samaya Sattvaha Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Tenopa Drista Dredo Me Bhava Suto Kayo Me Bhava Supo Kayo Me Bhava Anuraktu Me Bhava Sara Siddhi Me Prayatsa Sara Karma Sitsa Me Sitsantriya Kuru Hong Ha 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 ho Bhagavan Saratada Gata Bajra Mame Munsa Bajri Bhava Mahasamaya Sattvaha. So now we come to page 20 and 21. These are the increasing mantras. This increases our mind stabilization during the practice. Mantra means to protect the mind. Mind protection is a mantra. So we're increasing that with the meaning of this. So this is in Sanskrit. Page 20 is the Sanskrit. And on page 21 is the English translation along with the English transliteration of the transcript of the Sanskrit. So we'll read the English 3 times, we'll recite the English 3 times, and then recite the Sanskrit 7 times. To help us to do 7, we have a little technique that we take our left hand like this, and we take our thumb and our little finger, and that's number 1. Now our ring finger is number 2. Now our middle finger, that's number 3. Our forefinger is number 4. Back to our middle finger is number 5. Back to our ring finger is number 6. And our little finger again is number 7. So we can use this technique to easily keep track of a recitation of 7 times. If you want to do more times, like 14 or 7 or 21, then of course you would repeat this 2 times or 3 times. So we begin on page 21, reciting the English. Arising from a defiled mind, be reborn into great wisdom. Arising from a defiled mind, be reborn into great wisdom. Arising from a defiled mind, be reborn into great wisdom. Om Sambar Sambar Bimanasar Mahazambo Hung. 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 Arising from defiled lives, remember and purify the flower of wisdom. Arising from defiled lives, remember and purify the flower of wisdom. Arising from defiled lives, remember and purify the flower of wisdom. Om Smar Smar Bimar Skar Mahazambo Hung Pe. 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 Arising great holy wisdom, purify this life. Om Sambar Sambar Mahazambu Hung Pe. 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 So now this is the blessing of the Mawa. So we take our mala beads, we hold our mala beads with our right hand, we hold the guru bead at the very top like this. We take our left hand and we take the mala beads and wrap them clockwise in the palm of our left hand so that it's a spiral, and then the guru bead is at the top. And then between our ring finger and our middle finger of our right hand, we're holding the guru bead, and we're holding the beads like this. And we're making this blessing offering. So we recite this in English 3 times. The enlightened body, speech, and mind are the precious Dharma protectors, whose mirror-like wisdom is the door to purification. The enlightened body, speech, and mind of the precious Dharma protectors, whose mirror-like wisdom is the door to purification. The enlightened body, speech, and mind of the precious Dharma protectors, whose mirror-like wisdom is the door to purification. Om Ruchi Ramana Prarataya Hong Pe. 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 The body, speech, and mind of pure love is the ultimate wisdom. The body, speech, and mind of pure love is the ultimate wisdom. The body, speech, and mind of pure love is the ultimate wisdom. Om Sri Padma Nurtishvari Hong. Om Re 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 Padma Nurtishvari Hong. So now we take the beads and we blow on them to animate them with our breath. And then we take the beads in our left hand, and we're starting with the Guru bead. We are bringing each bead, each time we recite Om Ah Hung, the body, speech, and mind. May my body, speech, and mind become inseparable with the body, speech, and mind of all the enlightened ones. And we do one mala round with this mantra recitation. Om Ah Hung, 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 Om Ah Hung. Om Ah Hung, 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 Om Ah Hung. Om Aung, 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 Om Aung. Om Aung, 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 Om Aung. Om Aung, 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 Om Aung. Om Aung. So now we come to page 22. So here we see images of Lord Jigden Sumgun in the center. Lord Jigden Sumgun is the founder of the Drikung Kagyu lineage, our lineage. To his right is Shakyamuni Buddha. Lord Jigden Sumgun is often referred to as the second Buddha. And to his left is Vajradhara, who is the primordial Buddha. So pure, he is unborn. And all the enlightened ones, their heart essence is the essence of Vajradhara, the primordial Buddha. So now we come to page 24. Now we are about to do the practice of taking refuge. This is the first part of the Ngondro. So normally we would accumulate 100,000 prostrations of this practice. So this is done over a period of time. We'll talk more in detail about this another time. But right now we're going to recite this practice, and then we'll do 3 prostrations, and then we'll come back and continue on with the Vajrasattva practice. But here on page 24 are the benefits of taking refuge. If the merit of taking refuge in the triple gem could manifest in form, the whole universe could not contain it. Even though attempting to describe the infinite benefits of practicing refuge is like attempting to empty the ocean with a teaspoon. There are 8 benefits as explained in the Jewel Ornament of Liberation. 1 becomes a Buddhist. It becomes the basis of all the precepts and vows. It exhausts all previous non-virtuous deeds. It protects one from obstacles created by humans and non-human. One accomplishes all one wishes. One gathers a great amount of merit. One will not fall into the lower realms. One attains Buddhahood swiftly. Practice refuge is the essence of all other practices. Therefore, one always should emphasize this practice. It has inconceivable beneficial effects. Through this practice, one can achieve the fearless state. Page 25 begins with With one pointed mind, take refuge in the three jewels. The three jewels, the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Om Ah Hung. Now we recite in English. Meditate the surroundings as inseparable from a Buddha field. In the space in front of me is a lion throne on which are a lotus, sun, and moon disk seat, in the center of which sits the kind root lama in the form of Vajradhara with the 7 characteristics. Blue in color, 2 arms, holding a Vajra and bell, crossed at the heart, and gracefully sitting in the Vajra position. Adorned by the silken robes and various precious jewel ornaments, and surrounded by all the lineage lamas. So what this is referring to is the lineage tree or the wish-fulfilling tree. So I think all of you have a copy of this, and we will not go into detail with it tonight, but there will be another time soon when we will go into detail about this. But this is the lineage tree. So on this tree are all the lineage lamas. In the center is Vajradhara. At the top of the center is Lord Jigdan Sumgun. To the right of the tree are all the Buddhas. Behind the tree are all the holy texts, the Prajnaparamita. To the left of the tree are all the Bodhisattvas. Below the tree, the lower branches of the tree are all the Yidams, the like Chakra Samvar, the Yidam deities. And at the very bottom of the branches of the tree are all the Dharma protectors, the Dharma palas. So we keep this in front of us as we are doing these Ngondro practices. So this should be on an altar or some kind of a way of supporting it, so that when we are doing our practice, we have this in our clear view. So it's being articulated here, what we are looking at in this text that we just read here. So now we come to the last line on page 26. It says, in front of the lion throne is the Yidam Chakra Samvara, the male and female aspects in union, whose manifestation is simultaneously appearance and an emptiness. At the right side of the throne is the assembly of the Buddhas of the 3 times, possessing all the auspicious signs of a Buddha, together with the 1,000 Buddhas of this fortunate kalpa. Behind the throne is the Prajnaparamita, proclaiming the relative and ultimate meaning of the 3 yanas. To the left of the throne is the assembly of the compassionate bodhisattvas, surrounded by the Sangha of the 3 yanas. Around the base of the throne are the Dharmapalas, an ocean of guardians gathered like clouds. Then we go back to page 25 and we recite in Tibet. Nekang women shin dag yu me pe, rang dun sem chen pe ma ni de ten, usu jun sen sa we la ma ni, yan lag dun den dorje changi so, no sang dag jagni dorjil to karno, Shabni dorje kiltrong ying sol shod, dardang rinchen na sol gen gize, gupe shenyen nam dang tab shik shod, dong du yidam korlo de we chod, yab yom nag tog song chog nyom shok so. Yesu du som sange san per den, gal sang sange tong dang lan chik shod, Kaptu Sherab Paro Chin Peyong Drang Ne Sexum Choki Narojo Yondu Satan Chang Sub Sampe So Desom Gedun Namgi Yong Su Kor Tri Samdu Dampa Chokyong Wei Song Ma Gyatso Chin Trig Tabergyor. Now we recite twice in English, once in Tibet, the Refuge Prayer. Buddhas, Dharma, Sanghas, Yidams, and Dharma protectors, to these supreme objects of refuge, for protection from the hordes of sufferings of samsara, we, all migrators, go for refuge until enlightenment is attained. Buddhas, Dharma, Sanghas, Yidams, and Dharma protectors, to these supreme objects of refuge, for protection from the hordes of suffering of samsara, we, all migrators, go for refuge until enlightenment is attained. Sangye chosog yidam chokyong che, kyab chog nam la dagsog jowakun, si pe jigsog nam gyal le kyob chi, changshu mato bardu kyab su chi. On page 29, we recite 3 times, twice in English, once in Tibet. I rejoice when all sentient beings are happy and free from the samsaric suffering and swiftly attain ultimate Buddhahood. For this purpose, from now on until I achieve enlightenment, I will follow the path to the ultimate goal. I rejoice when all sentient beings are happy and free from the samsaric suffering and swiftly attain ultimate Buddhahood. For this purpose, from now on until I achieve enlightenment, I will follow the path to the ultimate goal. Drokun de ten tugnel drawadan, nor du la me topar dagyawe. De chir deng ne chang su ma to bar, ne pe dong chog lam la juk par cha. So now we come to the part on page 30 and 31 is the recitation of the Refuge Prayer. And while we recite this, we are doing prostrations simultaneously. We recite this prayer continuously, and as we do the prostrations, we accumulate the prostrations. We count the prostrations. We don't accumulate the recitations of the mantra. So we can recite this in English, we can recite it in Tibet. We should memorize this. If we're going to do this practice, we would kind of automatically memorize it by doing this, because we would be accumulating 100,000 prostrations. So in that time, we would certainly memorize this. So we'll recite this in English one time, and we'll recite this in Tibetan one time, and then we'll do the prostrations. So I think everybody's familiar with the prostrations. It's a 5-pointed prostration where we stand, then both our hands go onto the floor, both our knees go onto the floor. We stretch out, a full body prostration. Our forehead touches the ground, and then we stand back up, and then we repeat the process. So it's a full body prostration. If we can't do the full body, we can do a partial by our hands and knees on the ground and touching our forehead to the ground, then standing and repeating it. And if we can't do that, we just simply bow and we visualize that we are doing the prostrations while we're reciting the mantra. So we recite in English one time. We take refuge in the kind root Lama and lineage Lamas. We take refuge in the deities of the mandalas of the Yidams. We take refuge in all the exalted Buddhas. We take refuge in the perfect Dharma. We take refuge in the excellent order of the Sanghas. We take refuge in all the noble Dakas, Dakinis, and Dharma guardians, possessors of the eye of wisdom. Drinsan Zawa Dangurpar, Jepe Paldan Lama, Dampa Namla Kapsu Chio, Yidam Kilgorgi La Sok Namla Kapsu Chio, Sange Chomdende Namla Kapsu Chio, Dampecho Namla Kapsu Chio, Pepege Dun Namla Kapsu Chio, Pawoka Jocher Kyome Shung Yashe Gi Cheng Dang Dampa Namla Kapsu Chio. So we'll do 3 prostrations. We stand, and I hope my microphone picks me up. I'm not going to be able to see me. We'll do 9 prostrations. Drinsan Zawa Dangurpar, Jepe Paldan Lama, Dampa Namla Kapsu Chio, Yidam Kilgorgi La Sok Namla Kapsu Chio, Sange Chomdende Namla Kapsu Chio, Pecho Namla Kapsu Chio, Pepege Du Namla Kapsu Chio, Pawoka Chochukyo Meshung Yashe Gi Cheng Deng Dampa Namla Kapsu Chio. Drinsan Zawa Dangurpar, Jepe Paldan Lama, Dampa Namla Kapsu Chio, Yidam Kilgorgi La Sok Namla Kapsu Chio, Sange Chomdende Namla Kapsu Chio, Pecho Namla Kapsu Chio, Pepege Du Namla Kapsu Chio, Pawoka Chochukyo Meshung Yashe Gi Cheng Deng Dampa Namla Kapsu Chio. Drinsan Zawa Dangurpar, Jepe Paldan Lama, Dampa Namla Kapsu Chio, Yidam Kilgorgi La Sok Namla Kapsu Chio, Sange Chomdende Namla Kapsu Chio, Pecho Namla Kapsu Chio, Pepege Du Namla Kapsu Chio, Pawoka Chochukyo Meshung Yashe Gi Cheng Deng Dampa Namla Kapsu Chio. So another time we will go into detail and talk much more about these prostrations and about this practice. But for tonight, we'll move on to the Vajrasattva practice. So now go to the other text, the Vajrasattva Dorje Sempa, meditation and recitation for the purification practice. So before we do that, just take a moment and visualize that the lineage tree, that all the masters, the lineage lamas, and all the deities that are pictured on the lineage tree all dissolve into light and dissolves into you through the crown of your head and into the center. You become the lineage tree, and the lineage tree is you. So for a moment, visualize on that image. Okay, thank you. All right, so now we go to the Vajrasattva practice. So here we begin on page 1, the introduction to Vajrasattva meditation practice. So we recite this out loud. Generally speaking, virtuous and non-virtuous acts depend on mind. The mind is the master, and the body and speech are the servants. Because of the degree of the power of afflictive emotions, controlled by the desire, hatred, and so forth, we create non-virtuous acts, such as the 5 heinous karmas, the 5 close karmas, the 10 non-virtues, the breaking of vows, and samayas. It is non-virtue if we do these things ourselves. We ask others to do them for us, or we rejoice when these deeds are done by others. Not only that, when the mind is under the control of desire, hatred, and so forth, even if we hear, study, and practice the precious Dharma, we create non-virtue. These non-virtues created by evil deeds will bring suffering and undesirable conditions. These non-virtues are created through conquering our enemies, protecting our relatives and friends, and protecting all our own body and accumulating wealth. But we leave these things behind when we face death. However, non-virtue will follow us like a shadow, life after life, and become a source of all sufferings. Therefore, it is very wise to purify all non-virtues we create before they bring the result. This purification, if we use the 4 powers, can be very effective. The 4 powers are remorse, antidote, resolve, and reliance. In the Vajranyana path, Vajrasattva meditation is a special practice for the purification of non-virtuous causes. So with confidence and without hesitation, enter into the Vajrasattva practice. Have sincere remorse for evil deeds, confess them, and resolve not to create more negative karma, even at the risk of one's life. Then take refuge, cultivate the mind of enlightenment, and recite the mantra and meditate on emptiness as the antidote and reliance. So basically what this is saying is that it's enumerating the 5 heinous crimes, which are killing father, killing mother, killing a arhat, damaging a Buddha, or creating a schism in the Sangha. So father, mother, killing an arhat, a fully enlightened being, shedding blood of a Buddha. And that includes, the facilities of the Buddhas and so on, creating a schism such as heresy within the Sangha, the community of Buddhist monks, nuns, and the lay people who are on the path to attain enlightenment. So those are the 5 heinous crimes. The 5 close karmas, the 5 close heinous crimes are sexually violating a monastic, knowingly kill a bodhisattva certain to attain enlightenment, killing a member of the Sangha who has entered the path of training, misappropriations of the Sangha's property, and destroying a stupa. So these are the 5 close karmas and the 5 heinous crimes. So, but there are many other variations of sins or crimes, misdeeds that we would do that we need to recognize, and we need to be able to liberate. We need to purify the results of those. So in all cases, it says that the way to do this is through the 4 powers. So the 4 powers is recognizing that you did something that was harmful, that caused suffering to yourself or someone else, and you have remorse for that. And then you have resolve not to do it again, as best as you can. That you have resolve that I'm going to try not to recreate this crime that I did. And then we use the antidote, or we use the remedy of the Dharma to be able to purify that misdeed. And then we continue to rely on the practice, on the Dharma, to keep us pure, to keep us from creating new misdeeds, either different ones or repeating the ones that we did. So what this is doing is, again, is developing a mindfulness of purification. And this is very important, this prayer, this 100-syllable mantra, is the way in which we purify. I should say there's many others, but this way is the most succinct and very, very, very powerful. There may be times when you are suffering from thoughts of things that are happening to you right now, things that are about to happen to you, or situations that you're about to go into, or situations from the past, and things that become very obsessive. You can't get them out of your mind. If you can sit and you can recite this mantra, the 100-syllable mantra, over and over again, if you can do a mala round, if you can do 2 mala rounds, if you can do 3 mala rounds, you will be able to transcend your attachment, your blockage, your confusion with those thoughts, that obsession that you have with those thoughts of attachment or aversion. And you will liberate yourself from the suffering of that. And then doing that, then you can say, now I can resolve not to do this again. I have remorse for this. I have used the remedy, which is the 100-syllable mantra. I've used the mantra. I've used the Dharma. And now I will continue to rely on this practice and do this often to keep my mindfulness stable so that I will always lead a life of virtue and be able to cut through non-virtue as the causes come to us, and we recognize the causes, that we cut right through them. And then after a period of time, we automatically do that. We have stabilized this so much that we completely don't even recognize these as opportunities for non-virtue because we are always stable in virtue. So this is very, very, very powerful. So the deity is Vajrasattva. If you've got your picture, this one here, so this one here, so this is a means to be able to stabilize mindfulness. So at the bottom here is us, the ordinary being who is on the path to be able to purify oneself. So around this being is the mantra, the 100-syllable mantra, going around in a clockwise direction. So as we are reciting this, we're visualizing this mantra is circling in a clockwise direction in the 10 directions. It's going east, south, west, north, then southeast, southwest, northwest, northeast. That's 8, right? The 4 cardinal directions and the 4 intermediate directions of the compass, plus up and down. Those are the 10 directions. So virtually what we are doing is creating a sphere. That this mantra garland, is moving about and creating this sphere that is radiating this purification in all directions. It starts in our heart center. Actually, it starts in Vajrasattva. We bring it into our heart center, and then it goes out to all beings. So the practice articulates that. Sitting on top of our head is Vajrasattva, who in his right hand is holding the Vajra, which represents wisdom, represents skillful means, the indestructible wisdom at his heart. And his left hand is the bell, which represents wisdom. This represents the masculine, this represents the feminine. And the bell is at the hip, and the dorje, the Vajra, is at the heart like this. And we can visualize this mantra going around, like I said, in a clockwise direction. So Vajrasattva has a white body, and he's wearing all the accoutrements and so on. He is wearing the tiara of the 5 jewels, which represent the 5 Buddha families. And he is wearing the robes of a monastic, and his right leg, you see, is forward of his body position, which is in a, he's ready to leap up, to come to the aid, to come to the help of all sentient beings. So he's ready to leap up to help all beings, is what that means. His foot, his big toe, is on the crown of our head. And on the crown of our head, this is the aperture of Brahma, is what this is called. And this is the aperture of the central channel that runs through the center of our body, from our navel all the way up through the top of our crown. And all the chakras are intersecting with this center channel. There's a right channel and there's a left channel, and we will talk about those another time. But right now we're concentrating on the center channel. Our life force, the life force that we have had since the moment we were conceived, and that we keep within ourselves until we finally give up our inner breath, when we pass away, when we give up the transference of consciousness, when our body dies, and that inner breath, that inner light, that inner awareness, or the life force is ejected. So that's for another talk as well. But now we're beginning to visualize, the component parts of what all this means. So Vajrasattva is sitting on the top of our head. The blessings of the mantra are going to all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. So here, on this side here, on the right side of Vajrasattva, this is representative of all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. And if you look down with the ordinary being, you see this channel of light that is going from his heart center, and it goes to on the left side are all the ordinary beings, all sentient beings. So this light that is being generated by this mantra garland goes to the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. And then from the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, it returns into the heart center of Vajrasattva, of the holy being, and then goes out to all the sentient beings, and then comes back to the central figure. So it's this big sphere that we become in the midst of, that is circling all around, that we are part of, that we are in the center of, that each one of us all come together and we all coalesce into this. So this is representative of that purification, this process of doing that. These deities up here are the 5 Buddha families. It's the Father Buddhas and the Mother Buddhas, and there's seed syllable there, and that they all come down into this vase, into this blessing vase, that then comes into the crown of Vajrasattva. So in this practice that we're doing tonight, we're doing this main part. But in the Mahamudra practice, when it's done in the Mahamudra practice, the visualization of these 5 Buddha families is also included. So it's a richer practice. So this one here is a little bit more concise. So I just point this out to you. On the left side of Vajrasattva, you see the 3 syllables Om Ah Hum over here. And then over here in the lower left corner of the picture, these are the 8 offerings that we make when we do the argam, the drinking water, the washing water, the flowers, the incense, the light, the perfume, scented water, the food, and the music. So all the offerings. So this illustration here is very comprehensive with all the imagery. So that once we get familiar with this, we just need to look at this, and automatically we are just mindful of what this whole practice is.
Lance, what are the 3 figures on the left. There are three different on the left side of the picture.
They are the Buddhism Bodhisattvas. They are representative of the Buddhism Bodhisattvas. So specifically, there are the 5 Dhyani Buddhas, and in different illustrations, different styles of illustration to show. And then so the Buddhas are on the left side, Buddhas are in the middle, and then the Bodhisattvas are the standing are on the right side. Okay, so they're not specific. It's more generalized to just be able to help you to remember the Buddhism Bodhisattvas. Okay? Does that make sense? Okay. Any other questions or comment? Okay, I will mention 2 more things then. It's not included in this practice, but in some of the other practices. In the upper, above Vajrasattva, above his left shoulder, are syllables, Sanskrit syllables that say za, hong, bam, ho. So what this represents is that we are hooking to those deities, that we are tying ourselves up to those deities, that we are chaining ourselves, that we are binding ourselves, locking ourselves up with those deities. And then we are rejoicing that we are with those deities. So it's za, hong, bam, ho. And in some of the practice, it's included in the practice. And then over his right shoulder, you see a small picture of Vajrapani. Vajrapani is the bodhisattva of Dharma power, of practice power. So this goes to the power of this practice as being a purification practice. So by doing this and being mindful of its meaning and dedicating the merit of this becomes very, very powerful to all sentient beings as well as to ourselves.
What are the mountains, Lance?
Just generic mountains to show that this is, something that, it's in the landscape of the Buddha field of phenomenal nature that then is transcended, beyond the bounds of phenomenal nature into the Dharmakaya, that it lifts into the Dharmakaya. So you see that the 5 Buddha families up here are in the cloud of Dharma. Okay? Good question. So everything here has a meaning.
What about at the bottom, Lance?
Well, the bottom are, what's it look like? It looks like plants. Uh-huh. So it's showing, here we are on the earth. Here we are, ordinary being. We look outside and we see all these plants and so on. So it's from this that we are arising. And then on either side, so then you look here on the crown of the being, you see that there is a Vajra, that there is a Dorje on a lotus pedestal. And then on either side is lotus flowers. And it's the lotus flower is representative of our arising above our defilement, coming out of defilement, because we come out of this muck and mire of being a defiled human being. And then as that seed comes and the sprout comes up through the ocean of suffering, and then it breaks through the surface of the ocean of suffering and then blossoms this beautiful, pure lotus flower, which represents purity. Okay? So we can talk more in detail about this. We can come back to this a little bit. I want to get through the recitation of the practice, and then if there's more questions, we have some more time to talk about it this evening. So I wanted to be able to make this as comprehensive as possible. Okay, so this little sadhana that you got here is a complete practice. So if all you had time to do was just this practice, you could use just this practice. And on page 3 is the short refuge prayer. Page 4 are the 4 immeasurables. So you can recite that and then continue on with the practice where it begins on page 5 here in this sadhana. But the proper way to do it is exactly what we did tonight, is start with all the opening prayers, then do the 4 thoughts to turn the mind to the Dharma, do the increasing mantras and so on to really set the mind stably and so on to do that. So as you can see, it takes maybe 30 minutes or something like that to get to this point. So, but if you have very short time and you just want to do Vajrasattva, you could do it just with this, and that would be okay. But you should do it with the whole thing whenever you can. So now we go to page 5, and we recite in English. Above the crown of my head, and you can refer to the illustration here. So see the reference points. Above the crown of my head, I visualize a white lotus with a moon disk seat. On this is the syllable hung, which transforms into a Vajra dorje with a hung in its center. From this hung, light radiates, purifying the obscurations of all beings. This light is offered to all the Buddhism Bodhisattvas. The light returns and dissolves into the seed syllable hung. The hung then transforms into Dorje Sempa, who is in essence our own kind root lama. Dorje Sempa is white in color and holds a Dorje bell. He sits gracefully in the half lotus position. He wears silken robes and all the precious ornaments. Any questions about that visualization? Can you see the reference points on the illustration? Okay. Dorje Sempa is the Tibetan name of Vajrasattva. Vajrasattva is the Sanskrit name. Dorje Sempa is the Tibetan name. In English, it translates to the enlightened holy being. Indestructible holy being, Indestructible holy being. Vajra is indestructible. Sat is a being. Sattva is a holy being. Vajrasattva, the indestructible holy being. Okay, so now we recite in Tibet, page 5, and go down to page 6. Chi war pe ka da ten ho mute your microphones, please. Start over. Chi war pe ka ta dang hong yig le dorje te war hong sen wo tro pe drub jog jib yang yal cho sur du pa Sabong la tim yong su gyur pale. Sawe lama dorje sampakar. Dorje julche kyang kung king wei so. Rin chen yao chang cha lu yong su so. So now we make the 8 offerings. So the mudras are, this is a picture, this is washing water. This is, drinking water. Drinking water. This is washing water. This is flowers that are blossoming. This is incense. This is light, candlelight. This is scented water, perfume. This is food. And this is music, rejoicing. If you have a bell and dorje, if you have horns, other instruments, you can play the instruments, the damaru, the drum, you can play the instruments. But if all you have is this to symbolize playing the drum, that is perfectly fine. That is very, very good. So we make the 8 offerings. So here it says, Om Vajrasattva Sapariwara Argam Pratitsa Soha. So Om is the body, speech, and mind of the deity. In this case, it's Vajrasattva, Vajrasattva. So Vajra is the way it's actually written, but the Tibetans don't recite a V, they say Ba. So it's written here as Vajra. So it's the same thing, whether it's Vajra or Bajra, it's the same thing. So poetically, they usually say Bajra like that. Sattva is the holy being. Then Sapariwara is, and all your retinue, all the family that's associated with Vajrasattva is included, and all your retinue. Sapariwara is what that means. Then Argam is the drinking water. Then if you look, it's underlined, and then you look down in the next line here, it has Padyam, Pushpam, Dupam, Alokam, Gande, Nuite, Shapta. So those are the other offerings. Padyam is the washing water. We're scooping water up to wash our feet and our face and our hands. Then Pushpam are the flowers. And Dupam is the incense. Alokam is the light. And Gande is the scented water, perfume. And then Nuitea is the food offering. And then Shapta is the music. And then we say Pratitsa. And we're making the offering. Here, I make the offering to you. It is no longer mine, I give it to you, is the offering. And then Soha is so be it, may it be accomplished, is Soha. So what we're doing is we're gathering the blessings. So we take our left hand, and it's at our heart level, and we're taking our right hand, and gracefully we're scooping up the blessings from the nectar that is in this bowl of Dharma nectar that we are visualizing is in our left hand right now. And we're scooping up these blessings and we're bringing them into our heart center, because this is where the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas are. So we're making offerings to the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas in our heart center, as if they are guests in our bodies. So we want them to become permanent. So we continue to do this and so that they will become permanent. But right now we think of them as guests because it's not permanent. So we do this, then we switch hands. And now we're with our right hand is the bowl of nectar, and we're scooping it up with our left hand. And we alternate like this. And then we do the mudra for the particular offering that we're making. And then we make the offering like this. So the left hand is inside at our heart, and the right hand at our wrist like this is holding our left hand at our heart like this. And we snap both fingers. We make the offering. And then Pratitsa, Pratitsa is the offering. Then Soha, then we are showing the supplication. So be it. Okay? So now we begin. Om Sarva, Om Vajrasattva Sapariwara, Argam Pratitsa Soha. Om Vajrasattva Saparivara Padyam Pratitsa Soha. Om Vajrasattva Saparivara Pushpam Pratitsa Soha. Om Vajrasattva Saparivara Dupam Pratitsa Soha. Om Vajrasattva Saparivara Pushpam Pratitsa Soha. Om Vajrasattva Saparivara Dupam Pratitsa Soha. Om Vajrasattva Saparivara Alokam Pratitsa Soha. Om Vajrasattva Saparivara Gande Pratitsa Soha. Om Vajrasattva Saparivara Nuidaya Pratitsa Soha. Om Sarva Sattva Saparivara Shapta Pratitsa Soha. So we ring the bell and we're holding the Vajra at our heart to rejoice that we're happy, that we are all together with the deities, with the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas. So we're ringing this to rejoice that we're all happy. The drum is played to call the deities to our mind, to cause particularly the Dharmapalas and the Dakinis and the yoginis and so on, that we're calling them with this. So remember that all this is within ourselves. So all these are ritual techniques to be able to stabilize our mindfulness of what it is that we're doing. We're making this space holy. We are making this space our Buddha field. So we're bringing all this together through these ritual objects and techniques that we're using and so on. Okay, so now we come to the praise on the bottom of page 6. And we say, Vajrasattva, Mahasattva, the great mind, the embodiment of all the Buddhas, of the Samantabhadra, Dharmakaya, I prostrate to the holder of the Vajra. So this is the praise. So Vajrasattva, Dorje Sampa, Mahasattva, Maha means great. So it's the great holy being. So it's the indestructible holy being, the great holy being, the great mind, the mind of Vajrasattva. The embodiment of all the Buddhas, that all the Buddhas are, you know one Buddha, you know them all. And the next page says, the Samantabhadra, Dharmakaya. The Samantabhadra in this case is the primordial Buddha, the Vajradhara. The primordial Buddha is so pure, he's unborn, and is the essence of all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, all the enlightened beings, is the essence of this Dharmakaya, of this Vajrasattva, embodied in Vajrasattva and Vajra, and embodied in Sambhoga and Samantabhadra. So we'll talk more about these later on. So I prostrate to the holder of the Vajra, the holder of this indestructible wisdom. The Vajra means this indestructible wisdom here. So what we would do, we would be, when we recite this in Tibet, we would be holding the Vajra to our heart with our right hand, ringing the bell with our left, and we would say, page 6. Vajrasattva, Mahasattva, the great mind, the embodiment of all the Buddhas, the embodiment of all the Buddhas. The Samanta Vajra, Dharmakaya, I prostrate to the holder of the Vajra. So we're rejoicing as we're reciting that, we're praising and we're rejoicing. So we should be very happy. Okay. So now we come to the visualization, the middle part of page 7. It says that Dorje Sempa's heart level is a Dorje on a moon disk. At the center of the Dorje is a hung syllable surrounded by the 100 syllable mantra. The light radiating from the rotating mantra completely purifies the obscurations of all beings, and they become Dorje Sempas. The light returns and dissolves into the mantra and the seed syllable hung. Nectar produced from these syllables flows through the right great toe of Dorje Sempa. It enters the crown of my head, purifying all defilements, illness, and obscurations through the pores of the skin, the 2 lower openings of my body. These obscurations leave the body in the form of a smoky dark liquid. Then I am filled with nectar and completely purified as crystal. So we visualize, so here again with this, so now we have to visualize that the ordinary being and Vajrasattva now are becoming one, becoming the same. So as it says here, Dorje Sempa's heart level is a Dorje on a moon disk. So here is the Dorje on a moon disk. Is that image that is in between the ordinary being and Vajrasattva. At the center is a hung syllable, and the mantra is going around in a clockwise direction. And the light from that rotating mantra purifies the obscurations of all beings. They become Dorje Sempa. The light returns and dissolves. So it goes to the Buddhism Bodhisattvas, comes back to the heart center, and then goes to these other beings. So if you look in the heart center of the being here who is rotating it, you see that there's a hung at his heart. So that's the heart, the same as the heart of Vajrasattva. Light returns, seed syllable, nectar produced from these syllables flows through the great white toe. So from the Buddhism Bodhisattvas, who are already purified, this light comes back to them, and it, like nectar, is filling the body of Vajrasattva with this white nectar, this pure nectar. And then this white nectar is coming out through his big toe, his right big toe, which is on the crown of the head of us, of we, the practitioner, of the ordinary being. And then it's coming down through the center and filling our body with white nectar that is pushing out all the defilements, all the negativity that is in the form of a smoky dark liquid, all the illness of the body, speech, and mind being pushed out by this white nectar. And it leaves through the skin, the pores of the skin, and the lower 2 openings of our body. So, of course, this is figurative, but this is what we are visualizing, and then we become filled with this white nectar. These obscurations leave the body in the form of a smoky dark liquid, and I am filled with nectar and completely purified as crystal. As crystal, like this. Or like this. A crystal like this. Whoops. So we become purified like that. And we're holding this mindfulness. And now we recite the mantra. Okay, so we recite this in the Sanskrit. If you wish to recite it in the English, you can go back to the English translation in the earlier text that we did. So you should be totally familiar with the meaning of this. And we say, Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manu Palaya Vajrasattva Tenopa Dristadredo Mebawa Suto Kayo Mebawa Supo Kayo Mebawa Anu Raktu Mebawa Sara Siddhi Me Prayatsa Sara Karma Sutsa Me Sitsan Triya Kuru Hung Ha 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 ho Bhagawan. Sara Tathagata Vajra Mame Mansa Bajri Bhava Maha Samaya Satwaha. Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manu Palaya Vajrasattva Tenopa Dristadredo Mebawa Suto Kayo Mebawa Supo Kayo Mebawa Anuraktu Mebawa Sara Siddhi Me Prayatsa Sara Karma Sutsa Me Sitsan Triya Kuru Hung Ha 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 ho Bhagawan Sara Tathagata Bajra Mame Mansa Bajri Bhava Maha Samaya Satwaha Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manu Palaya Vajrasattva Tenopa Dristadredo Mebawa Suto Kayo Mebawa Supo Kayo Mebawa Anuraktu Mebawa Sara Siddhi Me Prayatsa Sara Karma Sutsa Me Sitsan Triya Kuru Hung Ha 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 ho Bhagawan Sara Tathagata Bajra Mame Mansa Bajri Bhava Maha Samaya Satwaha Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manu Palaya Vajrasattva Tenopa Justadredo Mebawa Suto Kayo Mebawa Supo Kayo Mebawa Anuraktu Mebawa Sara Siddhi Me Prayatsa Sara Karma Sutsa Me Sitsan Triya Kuru Hung Ha 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 ho Bhagawan Sara Tathagata Bajra Mame Mansa Bajri Bhava Mahasamaya Satwaha Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manu Palaya Vajrasattva Tenopa Justadredo Mebawa Suto Kayo Mebawa Supo Kayo Mebawa Anuraktu Mebawa Sara Siddhi Me Prayatsa Sara Karma Sutsu Me Sitsan Triya Kuru Hung Ha 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 ho Bhagawan Sara Tathagata Bajra Mame Mansa Bajri Bhava Maha Samaya Satwaha Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manu Palaya Vajrasattva Tenopa Justadredo Mebawa Supo Kayo Mebawa Anuraktu Mebawa Sara Siddhi Me Prayatsa Sara Karma Sutsu Me Sitsan Triya Kuru Hung Ha 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 ho Bhagawan Sara Tathagata Bajra Mame Mansa Bajri Bhava Maha Samaya Satwaha. So here I recited it, I chanted it at 3 different speeds just to demonstrate. You should do it as slowly as you need to memorize it and to recite each syllable clearly and distinctly as best that you can. It's if you slur it, if you can't understand the syllables, it's not virtuous. It's not worthwhile. It won't accumulate the merit that you want. So you should say it cleanly and precisely as you possibly can. You can start off by doing the melody. You can chant it in the different speeds, but if you get sloppy about it, then go back to a slower speed and do it slowly, take more time with it. It takes time to do this. If you have time for 21, it's great. If you only have time for 10, that's great. If you have time for a whole mile around, that is terrific. If you have time for 2 mile rounds, even better, and 3, and so on like that. The time that it takes someone who is proficient at being able to recite this quickly, it would take about 25 minutes to do a whole mile round, just to give you a sense of the commitment and time that it takes to do this. In the beginning, it's going to go slow. You're going to be learning all this different stuff and getting familiar with the rhythm of the practice and with the chanting and so on. So give yourself plenty of time if you're going to do this practice. So just let yourself go through the learning process. First there is a mechanization of just, mechanically learning how to do this. But then after you get that down, you develop this coordination with your eye, hand, your throat, all these things, and it becomes, very natural to you. And then your brain, you can begin to think about the meaning of what you're doing while your body is automatically doing this. So it takes time to do this. Give yourself the time. It takes maybe 10,000 recitations to be able to get to that point. So, but the benefits are totally immeasurable. It is so great. You know, when we have trouble, we can come home and we can take a pill to knock us out. We can take some kind of a drug to obliterate, our mind so that we can go to sleep and rest. But we only wake up and the problem is still there. We can come home and we can go to the refrigerator and we can open up a beer, or we can drink some wine, or we can take a shot of some whiskey or something like that. And for a time, it will kind of anesthetize us, but the problem is still there. But by doing this practice of purification, we're liberating ourselves from the cause, from the karma, and from the result of continuing doing these harmful things and so on, from these terrible deeds that we might be doing and so on. So this is purification that will last, that will become stable. It raises us, it exalts us, it takes us to a higher level of purification, of transcendence of our human nature. So it's a very powerful practice. And these principles apply in all the other practices that we do. That's why Jigten Sumgön said that these practices are the most important practices that we do, because everything else that we do after this is built upon the foundation of these practices, of the refuge practice and of the purification practice, of the mandala offering practice that we'll do later, and of the guru yoga practices that we'll do later yet. So these are the four inner preliminary practices, the Ngondro practices. Any questions or comment?
Could you repeat those again, please?
Repeat what?
The four practices, the names of the four practices.
The first one is the refuge practice. That's where we do the prostrations. And we're taking refuge in the lineage. And the second one is the Vajrasattva purification practice that we're concentrating on tonight, to purify our misdeeds. That's the second one. So these two we can kind of do simultaneously. We could alternate between them. One day do one or do another. What I have found is good is to begin doing the refuge prostrations, but then there are days where you might be tired or it's too hot or something, so you shift over to be doing the purification practice for a time. And then you can come back to the refuge, and you see how they support each other. You learn things from both of these practices. When both of those are completed in the Ngondro, when 100,000 prostrations are accumulated, when 100,000 recitations of this mantra are accumulated, then we go to the mandala offering. And this is the accumulation of loving kindness and compassion. So that is a whole other set of practice that we do. And that comes later on. Like I said, it's making offerings of our mandala, that we visualize our mandala, and we're offering that to the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, to all beings, to be able to show that we are the renunciation of all the phenomenal nature that we recognize as being ourselves. We are giving to the mandala offering. And then when that is completed, there's 100,000 accumulation of that practice. And then is the Guru Yoga. The Guru Yoga is the union with the Guru. So first we visualize it as our particular Guru, our Lama, who is our teacher, or the combination of the Lamas that are our teachers. And then to Vajradhara, who is the essence of all these teachers. And then we find that this guru is within ourselves, that we see our own guru within ourselves. That's the Guru Yoga part. and that is 100,000 recitations. So normally in the monastic tradition, in the 3-year retreat, it takes about a year to complete the Ngondro practice. So this is, again, these are 19, 20-year-old people who are engaging in this. So they're strong, they're healthy, they recover from all this exertion of doing these things very quickly, and their minds are pliable and so on to be able to do this and so on. For us, as we get older, we have other priorities, but we can still do this. It took me 12 years to complete this. And I didn't start until I was 59 years old. It was the best thing that I ever did. So I only say that to you to let you know that a commitment is possible, and it is possible to be able to attain the completion of this, no matter what age. Now, I realize that I don't think I could do it right now. You know, I'm quite a bit older now, but I would certainly try. So whatever
That's
we
my
can
goal.
do. Beg pardon?
That's my goal. Thank you.
If
That's
we
why I was asking.
if we die trying, you can't die
Right.
doing a better thing.
Absolutely.
Lance, I do have a question. It
Sure.
might be a little silly. I never thought about this, but when you're accumulating the 100 syllable mantra, you said don't slur the syllables for sure, but what about the volume of your voice? Does that
What about what?
the volume of your voice? So definitely you don't want to scream the mantra, right? But what will be appropriate for, good accumulation of it?
Well,
Sometimes I do whisper that kind of when I say it.
what happens naturally is in the beginning you do it very forcefully, and all the chanting you do it forcefully and loudly. Not that you're shouting it, but you're doing it forcefully, because what you're doing is you're igniting your union with the vibration, your body with the vibration. You're setting up that vibration. Then, as you progress along the recitation of the chanting, and that vibration becomes more and more stable, you can lower the intensity of your voice, but that vibration within your body continues. So, so you can become quieter and quieter, and then it can become, like they say, like bees around the beehive. Om bazu zawazame yamano balaya bazu zawadano baju de mebo azudo gaya mebo azubo gaya mebo anaragda mebo azar zidi mebo azar garmazazume zandriagarum ha ho bagawan zara dadagada bazabami manji bazu bavama zamaya zawaha. But it still should be out loud. It could be a bit of a whisper, but when you're particularly by yourself or with a group, it should be audible. Because if you get too quiet, you go into like a sleepiness, you go into like a stupor, and you begin to lose, the focus on what it is that you're doing.
Yeah.
So you're including your physical body, your vocal cords, your air, your lungs. It's part of the process. You're including your brain. You're thinking about what it means, what you're doing. And then it is like a key that opens up the heart, and that vibration is open, and it reveals that inner wisdom that we have within ourselves.
And one more question that I have. The Guru Yoga has 3 parts, right? Is the outer, inner, and
The Guru Yoga?
Right. That you're talking about.
Yeah, but we're not there yet.
Okay.
So don't worry about it right now. I mean, if you want to read ahead, that's fine. And frankly, I did, and it would give me inspiration to dig deeper into what it was that I need to be accumulating. So if you want the Mahamudra text, I will direct you to where you can get the Mahamudra text that has all these practices in there, and as they would do in the monastery. So if you want to do that, that's fine. We can talk about it another time, more details about that. But right now, our job is to concentrate on these two. In the monastery, you would just get these two and you wouldn't even get the other ones yet. But Americans, Western people are always in a hurry.
I'm getting in a hurry.
What's that?
Yeah, that's good.
All right. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Lance.
You're welcome. All right. So now we go to page 10. And now we have finished doing the recitation. So now we would say, I and all sentient beings, deluded by our ignorance, have broken the vows. O Lama Dorje Sempa, the protector, holder of the Vajra, Lord of all sentient beings, please protect us. Dorje Sempa is pleased with our prayers and replies, your delusions are now cleared away and you are purified. Dorje Sempa then dissolves into light and is absorbed into myself through the top of my head. I then become Dorje Sempa. Meditate on the union of appearance and emptiness. So now this is the completion stage, where Dorje Sempa, Vajrasattva, dissolves into light and comes into our crown, and we become Dorje Sempa. So it's like the coming together of the two. Dorje Sempa is in our heart. We are Dorje Sempa. And as it says here, he's pleased with our prayers and replies, your delusions are now cleared away and you are purified. And whatever was bothering you is gone. When I told you you come home and you're upset about something, you do 3 mile rounds and you will forget what it was. You will have seen the emptiness of what it was that was bothering you. The folly of why was I wasting my time doing that when now I am so happy, I am so blissful, I am so liberated feeling. Why would I waste my time being like that? So now we recite in Tibet. Dak sog mong pe dam le gyal gu pe gong po kyab shik so wo dorje shen dro we so wo dagi kyab zo chik de ke so pe dor sam ge so gi kyogi dig drib da go she song te Dagla tempe drupa chang war yu. And then we meditate. So then we would do the meditation at that part, and we visualize this dissolution. We visualize Vajrasattva coming in, we becoming Vajrasattva. That is what we just read on page 10 is the dissolution, the completion stage. And we meditate for as long as we can. If you have a timer, you want to set a timer for 3 minutes or 5 minutes or 10 minutes or a half an hour, whatever you can, and you make it a sensible thing and you let it grow, you let it become very natural. You shouldn't be feeling that you're forcing yourself to do something. You'll do it on your own very naturally and you'll enjoy it. Then you come out of your meditation and then we do the dedication, which is on page 11. And if you need to make notes on these pages, please go right ahead, because the headers are not labeled on this particular practice. But if you want to write on page 11, this is the dedication. If you want to write on page 10 that is the completion stage or the dissolution, go ahead and write that. Nothing wrong with that. So now we do the dedication. We say, on page 11. Through the virtue of this practice, may I achieve Dorje Sempa's great realization. To this state, may I come to lead every being, not one left behind. Gewa Diyi Nor Dudag, Dorje Sempa Jugerne, Jowa Chikyang Malupa, Diyi Salago Pasho. So we're dedicating all the merit, all the wisdom, all the skillful means that we have accumulated from doing this practice. We're dedicating that for the benefit of all beings. When we get up off the cushion, we take this meditation with us.
Lance, could you delineate a little more clearly the completion, dissolution, and dedication sections?
Page 10 is the completion, dissolution, same thing.
Okay. Thank you. That's what I needed.
Then it's the dissolution becomes the completion. As we dissolve, then that becomes the completion. Then we rest in the Mahamudra. We rest in the meditative state. And then when we come out of the meditative state, then we state our dedication and we take the meditation with us.
I've got a related question, Lance. In a lot of these practices, at that point of completion, they say, meditate. And it seems like we never stop. We hardly catch our breath. We just keep going right into the dedication. Why don't we stop even for 10 seconds in all these practices?
It's because of limited time, number one, and different teachers have different ways of presenting this. It should be done, for a period of time, and you'll develop your own sensibility of what you think that is. For me, 10, 15, 20 minutes, a half an hour, I set myself a time, I'm practical about it. Sometimes I don't have to set the timer. Sometimes I just go right into a meditation and it might be 20, 30 minutes. I don't even think about it. Sometimes I sit down to do my practice and I don't even do the opening prayers. I just go right into the Mahamudra meditation. So it only comes from doing these things. And you'll know the difference because you can't lie to yourself. You know when you are experiencing, that bliss, that peace of mind, that peacefulness. You'll recognize it.
Go with the flow, Curtis.
What?
Go with the flow.
Okay. So now I hope you all can stay with me a few minutes till we can finish, because now we could finish with page 13, 14, and 15 with this particular practice, or we can go back to the first practice that we started with, the refuge, and we do our closing prayers with that, because there are some additional mantras that we would recite. So do we have time to do that, or should we leave it till the next time? Does anybody have to go?
Let's do it.
Hey, Lance, since you started, let's complete it.
All right, now we're on page 32. So we go back to page 32 in the first text, So 32, so now we start with the protection circle, the protection wheel, the protection circle. So when we did this in the beginning, the yoginis, the dakinis were all standing facing the inside of the circle, facing the heart center of the Buddhism Bodhisattvas, making offerings for their blessings. Now, at the conclusion, they are standing facing the outside of the circle, shoulder to shoulder, through them, and they are making protection. So the protection mudra is their left hand is up at their left shoulder like this, with the palm out. And the right hand with the palm up is at the right knee, standing. This is the offering mudra. This is the protection mudra. Now they are offering protection to all beings who are coming into the protection circle to protect them from coming in. The deities that are in the center, they don't need protection. They're already enlightened. But we ourselves may be vulnerable. So we have to guard ourselves. We have to be protected. But at the same time, we want to protect those who are coming to us. And those who are evil, who have malevolent intentions to protect them from coming in and hurting, creating suffering. So we visualize this and we recite the Sanskrit alphabet again. Om, I, I, O, Ri, Ri, Li, Li, E, O, Ang, Kaka, Gagana, Zaza, Zazana, Tata, Dadana, Tata, Dadana, Papa, Babama, Yawalawa, Sa, Saha, Krisa, Soha. Om, I, I, O, Ri, Ri, Li, Li, E, O, Ang, Kaka, Gagana, Zaza, Zazana, Tata, Dadana, Tata, Dadana, Papa, Babama, Yawalawa, Sa, Saha, Krisa, Soha. Oma, I, O, Ri, Ri, Li, Li, E, O, Ang, Kaka, Gagana, Zaza, Zazana, Tata, Dadana, Tata, Dadana, Papa, Babama, Yawalawa, Sa, Saha, Krisa, Soha. And then we repeat the mantra of interdependent origination. Om Yadharma Hetu Prabhava Hetu Takan Tadagato Hewa Tadata Takaso Yonarada Ewamwadi Mashimani Soha. Om Yadharma Hetu Prabhava Hetu Takan Tadagato Hewa Tadata Takasa Yonarada Ewamwadi Mashimani Soha. Om Yadharma Hetu Prabhava Hetu Takan Tadagato Hewa Tadata Takaso Yonarada Ewamwadi Mashimani Soha. So you can refer back to the first time we recited this for the English translation if you need to refresh your memory. Then we do the 100-syllable mantra again. Now we're doing it to purify whatever mistakes we made during the practice. So those syllables that we didn't recite properly, those things where we forgot a word or we didn't pronounce it right or we added something. So any of the mistakes that we made during the practice, now we are purifying all of those. If our mindfulness was slipping. So we recite Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manu Palaya Vajrasattva Dano Vajrasattva Mebawa Sudogayo Mebawa Supogayo Mebawa Narektu Mebawa Sara Siddhi Me Prayata Sara Karma Satsu Me Sitsantriya Kuru Hong Ha 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 Ho Bhagawan Sara Tata Gata Bajro Bami Matsi Bajru Bhava Ma Samaya Satwaha Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manu Palaya Vajrasattva Dano Vajrasattva Mebawa Sudogayo Mebawa Supogayo Mebawa Narektu Mebawa Sara Siddhi Me Prayata Sara Karma Satsu Me Sitsantriya Kuru Hong Ha 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 Ho Bhagawan Sara Tata Gata Bajro Bami Matsi Bajru Bhava Ma Samaya Satwaha Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manu Palaya Vajrasattva Dano Vajrasattva Mebawa Sutogayo Mebawa Supogayo Mebawa Narektu Mebawa Sara Siddhi Me Prayata Sara Karma Satsu Me Sitsantriya Guru Hong Ha 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 Ho Bhagawan Sara Tata Gata Bajro Bami Matsi Bajru Bhava Ma Samaya Satwaha. Now, page 34, these are the increasing mantras for the practice. So what this means is to keep us coming back, to continue to do this practice. So this first one is You see on page 34, if you look on page 35, is the English transliteration and the English translation. So we say 3 times in English and 7 times in the Sanskrit. This is it. The Buddhas and Bodhisattvas are the 5 families in the 3 times who have destroyed all defilements, lead to equipoise of the enlightened mind. This is our motivation. This is why we do this. This is it. The Buddhas and Bodhisattvas are the 5 families in the 3 times who have destroyed all defilements, lead to equipoise of the enlightened mind. This is it. The Buddhas and Bodhisattvas are the 5 families in the 3 times who have destroyed all defilements, lead to equipoise of the enlightened mind. Teata pensadriva avo Buddha nea soha. 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 The enlightened body, speech, and mind of the peaceful and wrathful deities is the Buddha. The enlightened body, speech, and mind of the peaceful and wrathful deities is the Buddha. The enlightened body, speech, and mind of the peaceful and wrathful deities is the Buddha. Om Ru Ru Da Ru Moki Moki Soha. 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 The body, speech, and mind of the Buddha is the cause for enlightenment of all sentient beings. The body, speech, and mind of the Buddha is the cause for enlightenment of all sentient beings. The body, speech, and mind of the Buddha is the cause for enlightenment of all sentient beings. Om Dari Dari Bendari Soha. 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 The bliss and strength in the heart center of the Buddha is equipoise. The bliss and strength in the heart center of the Buddha is equipoise. The bliss and strength in the heart center of the Buddha is equipoise. Om Hanubashabara Hridaya Soha. 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 Now we take our beads and we recite Om Ah Hung and visualize our body, speech, and mind becoming inseparable with the body, speech, and mind of all the enlightened ones. Om Ah Hung, 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 Om Ah Hung Om Ahom. So now at the bottom of this page 35, it says, visualize with faith that the root Lama is present in the sky in front, surrounded by assemblies of Yidam deities and all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. So we take a moment here and we visualize that our root Lama, whoever that may be, and then through the root Lama, all the Yidams, all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, Vajradhara, Samantabhadra, Buddha Shakyamuni, are all in our midst, all around us. And then we recite at the end of the session on page 36. The objects of refuge dissolve into the main figure, and he dissolves into your crown. So the objects of refuge are the lineage tree, which dissolve into the main figure. The main figure is Vajradhara, is in the center of the lineage tree, and he dissolves into your crown. And you perform a meditation to visualize that dissolution, this dissolving, this completion of the lineage tree dissolving into your crown. At your heart center. And then when you're complete, when you're finished, then we do the lineage. That completes the practice. Now we complete the session. We dedicate the session. We dedicate the wisdom and the merit for all sentient beings. So we do this through the homage that we recite on page 37 and the prayers that we recite, to stabilize that dedication. So we recite in English. Dorje Chang, Talopa, Naropa, Marpa, Milarepa, Dormalor Gampopa, Pagmadrupa, and Lordri Kompa. Please bestow upon us the most auspicious blessing of all the Kaju Lamas. By this virtue, may I achieve the all-knowing state, and may all who travel on the waves of birth, old age, sickness, and death cross the ocean of samsara by defeating all enemies, confusion, the cause of suffering. Bodhicitta, the excellent and precious mind, where it is unborn, may it arise. Where it is born, may it not decline, but ever increase higher and higher. I pray that the Lama may have good health. I pray that the Lama may have good health. I pray the Lama may have long life. I pray that your Dharma activities spread far and wide. I pray that I may not be separated from you. As Manjushri, the warrior, realized the ultimate state, and as did Samantabhadra, I will follow in their path and fully dedicate all merit for all sentient beings. By the blessing of the Buddha of the three times, by the blessing of the truth of the unchanging Dharma as such, by the blessing of the indivisible Sangha order, may the merit I share bear fruit. By the virtues collected in the three times, by myself and all beings in samsara and nirvana, and by the innate word of virtue, may I and all sentient beings quickly attain unsurpassed, perfect, complete, precious enlightenment. May the teachings of the great Trikumpa Ratna Shri, who is omniscient, Lord of the Dharma, Master of Interdependence, continue and increase through study, practice, contemplation, and meditation until the end of samsara. Glorious, holy, venerable, precious kind root and lineage lamas, divine assembly of Yidams and assemblies of Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, Yogins, Yoginis, and Dakinis, dwelling in the 10 directions, please hear my prayer. May the virtues collected in the three times by myself and all sentient beings in samsara and nirvana, and the innate word of virtue, not result in the 8 worldly concerns, the 4 causes of samsara, or rebirth as a Shravaka or Pratyeka Buddha. May all mother sentient beings, especially those enemies who hate me and mine, obstructors who harm, misleading Mars, and the hordes of demons, experience happiness, be separated from suffering, and swiftly attain unsurpassed, perfect, complete, and precious Buddhahood. By the power of this vast root of virtue, may I benefit all beings through my body, speech, and mind. May the afflictions of desire, hatred, ignorance, arrogance, and jealousy not arise in my mind. May attachment to fame, reputation, wealth, honor, and concern for this life not arise for even a moment. May my mind stream be moistened by loving kindness, compassion, and bodhicitta, and through that may I become a spiritual master with good qualities equal to the infinity of space. May I gain the supreme attainment of Mahamudra in this very life. May the torment of suffering not arise even at the time of my death. May I not die with negative thoughts. May I not die confused by wrong view. May I not experience an untimely death. May I die joyfully and happily in the great luminosity of the mind as such and the pervading clarity of Dharmata. May I, in any case, gain the supreme attainment of Mahamudra at the time of death or in the bardo. Om, Ah, Hong. Om, Ah, Hong. Om, Ah, Hong. May my body, speech, and mind become inseparable with the body, speech, and mind of all the enlightened ones. Thank you very much for staying with me through this, and may it serve thee well. Mangalam Drizala Zenfu Pipa, Alankar Bhavantu, Sarva Mangalam. By the virtue of this practice, may all beings be free from suffering and attain enlightenment. May all beings and activities be auspicious for the benefit of the enlightenment of all sentient beings.